Okay, Chair, you're all set.
Thanks, Malia. Aloha mai kako. So good to see everyone. Happy New Year. I think we all just can take a collective breath. I'm really excited to start off the new year. I think we've got a lot of good momentum from last year. Thanks to all of you folks, commissioners, and the public members that support us. I do want to start informally a bit by thanking Greg Kinkley for joining us as our new Deputy AG. So Greg is newly assigned to the FestPAC Commission. So mahalo, Greg. I had the pleasure of working with Greg already because he's our Deputy AG at the Hawaii Tourism Authority. So really pretty seamless to get Greg on board. And so we're super grateful, Greg.
Seamless, that's what they meant when they called me unseemly, I guess.
And we also want to take this opportunity, obviously, to thank Margaret for her service. And now she gets to totally enjoy retirement. So we're excited for her too. Okay, I am going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And I am going to search for my agenda while I do that. And then I want to start with our roll call. And so like we usually do, and in the past, I'm going to ask you folks to basically say that, you're by yourself in the location that you're at. And so I will go first. Chair is present, and I'm by myself. Commissioner Hussey.
Present and by myself.
Commissioner Benham.
I'm present and I'm by myself.
Commissioner Onishi.
I'm here by myself and I'm planning to close my office door.
Commissioner Bento.
Aloha, I'm here and by myself.
Commissioner Lum.
Present and by myself.
Commissioner De Silva.
I'm present and I am by myself here.
Commissioner Keokalole.
Aloha, I am all by myself.
And not in a bad way, guys. We are not totally isolated and alone by ourselves in that way. Commissioner Salah, I do want to make another announcement. Commissioner Salah, Makanani Salah, gave her letter of resignation to the commission. And so she's officially released from the commission. So I just want to make that announcement. Mayor Blangiardi, on behalf of the city and county of Honolulu, has submitted a letter appointing Keholani Pu'u as the new city and county of Honolulu commissioner. She was unable to join us today, so she's excused. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and ask Festival Director Salah, Aaron Salah, to do our vihena for today. Aaron, the floor is yours.
Mahalo, Chair. Let me share screen. Okay. Aloha nui kākou. In contemplating the vihena for today's Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture 2024 Commission meeting, admittedly out loud, I want to credit my friend and colleague and former Commissioner Monty McCumber for reminding me that next Monday, 17 January, is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Although no introduction nor context is necessary, we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. on the third Monday of January each year to honor the achievements of this Baptist minister who advocated the use of nonviolent means in order to end racial segregation. Although he was by no means the only influential of the American civil rights leaders, he certainly fits the bill for being the most well-known worldwide. In 1965, during the march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, Dr. King and a retinue of his colleagues were bedecked in lei puamelia. According to Hawaii Magazine, 18 January 2016, it was Reverend Abraham Akaka, older brother of the late US Senator Daniel Akaka, then Reverend of Kauaihao Church, who sent the lei to Dr. King as a, quote, symbolic action of support and solidarity. According to historian Sarah Miller Davenport in Gateway State, Hawaii and the Cultural Transformation of American Empire, 2019, the lei were delivered by a Hawaii-based contingent who not only presented the lei to Dr. King, but also proudly carried a banner that read, Hawaii knows integration works. 6 years prior to Selma, Dr. King spoke before the Hawaii State Legislature, weeks before the American President, Dwight Eisenhower, signed the bill making Hawaii a state of the Union. Hawaii's reputation as a quote unquote successful multiracial society, Miller Davenport, page 51, inspired Dr. King. He proclaimed that day, quote, As I think of the struggle that we are engaged in the Southland, we look to you for inspiration and as a noble example where you have already accomplished in the area of racial harmony and racial justice, that which we are struggling to accomplish in other sections of the country. And you can never know what it means to those of us caught for the moment in the tragic and often dark midnight of man's inhumanity to man, to come to a place where we see the glowing daybreak of freedom and dignity and racial justice, end quote. I contemplate these words and position them within the knowledge that we have as Native Hawaiians for the tenuous nature of our racial relations in Hawaii. And I further juxtapose what Dr. King aspired to in his generation to what we aspire toward in our own. I leave that with us for our own individual and perhaps collective at a later time reflection. Dr. King had a unique relationship to Hawaii. And while it is not my intent to dive into a comprehensive examination of that relationship, what he learned from Hawaii is not lost on me as I consider the role that we play as hosts of a festival of arts and culture that is unique, not only as an intersection between the cultures and cultural activity of Pacific peoples, but also as a venue and as a vehicle for diplomatic convenings of the peoples of Oceania that reminds us that no one but ourselves is responsible for the manifestation of the destinies of our Sea of Islands. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Festival Director Salah. I would also only add that 17 January is a date that is significant to many Native Hawaiians in the overthrow of our government and our peaceful leader, Queen Liliuokalani, and the method and manner in which she handled that. So those are great reminders for us. And we'll go ahead, and if anybody's got anything else for Aaron. Okay. I would like to move to our second agenda item. I would like to invite members of the public to offer testimony on any of today's agenda items. The commission received no written testimony prior to today's meeting. So if you would like to testify at this time, please go ahead and unmute and turn on your camera. Going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3, which is the approval of our December 6th meeting minutes. Members, I'll entertain a motion to adopt our minutes.
So moved, Chair.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Members, we're in discussion on the approval of the minutes of our December 6th meeting.
Very sorry, Chair. I need for the record an articulation of the names of the people who moved and seconded.
Okay, it was moved by Commissioner Hussey, seconded by Commissioner Benham. And really a bunch of others at the same time, but those are the first 2 that caught my eye.
Thank you.
And so members, we're in discussion. Any amendments or changes to the minutes as presented and circulated? Okay, hearing none. I'm going to go ahead and conduct a roll call vote for the approval of the December 6th minutes as presented. Chair votes aye. Commissioner Benham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bento.
Aye.
Commissioner De Silva. I think you got to unmute, Commissioner, but I think we got a yes, and maybe we can circle back. Commissioner Hussey.
Aye.
Commissioner Keokalole.
Aye.
Commissioner Lum.
Aye.
Commissioner Onishi.
Aye.
And we're going to circle back and try one more time for Commissioner De Silva.
Aye.
Mahalo.
Sorry, I
And
got lost.
And the City and County of Honolulu Commissioner is excused today. All right, we have our minutes. Thanks. Next, going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 4, which is our report on permitted interactions pursuant to Act 103, Session Laws of Hawaii 2021. It is my understanding that the Venues Committee did not meet, and so there were no permitted interactions under that committee. And then we did have meetings of the Admin Committee on both December 20th and January 3rd. And so we're reporting those permitted interactions today. And the contents of those meetings were circulated as part of the minutes of the Admin Committee that are part of the record, and that will be covered in our next agenda item number 5 today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 5 now, an update and administrative committee report. Commissioner Benham and I worked together on the minutes for this meeting, and she's asked that I go ahead and take a little bit of the lead in our discussion today. You will note that our agenda item today calls specifically for discussion and or action on commission administrative support through June of 2023. And so if I could back up a little bit for members, I just want to kind of review that we have and have partnered with in the past, NAHA, right? That's how Malia and the other staff have supported the commission, has been through a contract that they have with the Hawaii Tourism Authority. And so we have not basically formalized any sort of relationship directly to the commission. One of the other needs that was identified as part of our January 3rd meeting was the support for our festival director to be able to start implementation of the festival. And we identified 4 basic needs. So there's a fiduciary responsibility for the intake of funding. There's insurance coverage for the festival. They would be the employer of any festival staff that would be hired. And then we would retain legal services for the event. And so those were sort of the 4 things discussed. The committee did kind of talk about some different options that we have. And so, and members, please jump in if I'm recollecting something incorrectly. But in light of the immediate need to establish that sort of functioning administrative structure, we'd like to execute an MOA for an interim administrative provider in the way of an MOA with NAHA and maybe even HTA. I'm not totally sure, and this is where Greg can advise us better legally. But functionally, we need to set up some sort of formal MOA with NAHA to be able to provide those interim administrative functions. And right now we have an ability to do that through June of 2023 based on the contract that exists between NAHA and HTA. After that time though, the commission would need to procure something beyond that time frame in a more permanent way toward the actual festival and during the time when the festival exists. And so for discussion today, we wanted to kind of talk about those 2 pieces. So a formal MOA for NAHA to continue to provide those 4 functions that I outlined, and that could go potentially through June of 2023. And then what is the commission's plan from June 2023, so effectively July 23 onward through the sunset of the commission. So I will open it up first to Commissioner Benham as our chair of the admin committee, if she's got anything that she wants to add, or other members of that committee, and then we can have other discussion. But Commissioner Benham, if you got anything.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think you did an excellent job of setting up the discussion for the commission. But before we open it up for discussion, I do want to thank the commissioners on this in this committee, primarily because they had to meet over the holidays. So thank you once again for the time that you spent. So we're open to your thoughts about the interim and what we would need to do next. And if you check out the minutes, you will see that we did discuss the possible need to procure an RFP for post June 2023. I wonder at some point, Chair, we might get some information from our AG, from Greg at some point as well. We didn't have that benefit, Greg, because you didn't join us until January 1st. So any other committee members?
Don't be shy.
Could I just make sure I'm understanding? Yeah. Okay. So there's a need for services. There is a mechanism that is currently available through NAHA. That date is through June 2023. And just a quick, and just like, that's it, okay, on June 2023, and it doesn't go beyond 2024 because all of the extension mechanisms have been, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so Commissioner Hussey, I can kind of explain. So the reason why June 23 is the date is HTA is currently in a contract with NAHA. And as part of the scope of their work, they had support for FestPAC, because for us as HTA, we wanted to make sure that we could contribute well to the success of the festival as a member of the commission. And so we ensured through our NAHA contract scope of work that they could support me or whoever the HTA representative was to the commission. Their contract, the furthest we could go is June 2023. And that's where that deadline comes, is basically that's the extent of the 5-year statutory limit on the NAHA contract before it has to go back out for bid. And then at that point, I think the commission could just take on the kuleana of that itself, because hopefully by that time we would have done better fundraising, and we would have, the commission would have its own resources and mechanisms directly to procure beyond that date. But HTA is willing to make sure that we can support the festival through NAHA and our current contract and scope of work through that time.
And I think to add, I think it's a fortunate thing that, you know, the current sort of framework we're operating in does end all at the same time at the end of the year, right? We're at where we're at because we needed to get started, and I think we all agreed that waiting, not doing anything from an execution standpoint, or not doing as much as we could do in 2022 was not the best option. So we're at where we're at, and then, the idea is hopefully we'll be in a place January 1st where we can formalize everything into a permanent structure that flows in the way that it was intended.
I might just strike the heart, fear in the heart of all of us. We are 125 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, 41 minutes, and 6 seconds away from festival. 125 weeks, folks. That's it.
Yeah, so just to support Senator's comment, it's extremely important that we provide the festival director with the interim administrative structure so that there is opportunity for us to get the resources that we need to execute. Without having a fiduciary agent, we just cannot get those resources in. So having an interim and not having to wait 6 months while we RFP something was key to our decision. I'm sorry, Greg, go ahead.
Oh, no, not at all. I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to confirm with Chair, without getting into a legal discussion, that it's the understanding that the existing contract between NAHA and HTA, within its existing scope of work, it's fair to say that those 4 tasks that you mentioned included in that?
Yes. And they always have been part of the scope that was executed in the original base contract 18200, just for transparency's sake, so everybody knows which HTA contract mechanism we're using. That scope has always been there to support HTA in that original contract, and that HTA in its original contract had 4 one-year options available to extend that contract. And so that takes us through June of 2023.
And process-wise, is it possible to parallel procure, say, engage in a process? So the HTA contract is the mechanism that'll get us there. But is there a contracting process to dovetail, say, from July 1st, 2022 into 2024? So parallel dovetail a contracting and process, and I'm just talking out loud, right? I'm just talking out loud, so that there's coverage on, and you parallel the coverage, and so you don't have this abrupt service entity. You also don't have, you could parallel transition. So if it's NAHA, great, right? There's transit. If it's not NAHA, then you have an entity that has been paralleling the processes for a year while, the contract sunsets, and then this one has continued, but you've had a year into it so that there's not this cliff that the festival falls off of. as a thought. So I'm just gonna throw that out.
Mahalo. The only consideration that I think we would have to weigh is, it's my understanding the commission would not be able to issue a solicitation unless we had the funding to support it. So we couldn't sort of actually issue an RFP to get that overlap until the commission actually does some good fundraising and gets us the money we need to hire them. Because right now we're no more money. And so I understand that if we don't have money, we can't issue a solicitation. So we got to fundraise first. And then once we have money in the bank to cover that solicitation, then we'd be okay.
And that's why we're at where we're at, because if we need money, we need an interim entity to put the money in, and we need somebody to go and raise it for us.
And quite frankly, yeah, if we don't have money, we wouldn't be able to procure services. So, but I like that idea. So Commissioner Hussey, I hear you acknowledge perfect thinking, right? If there's an opportunity for us to issue a solicitation that would allow for overlap, so that it wasn't, to your point, the cliff of June 23rd just falling off, I think that's a good direction for us if we're able to.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, Commissioner Hussey, and we'll take it back to the admin committee. It also provides us with a little bit of wiggle room to actually define what that RFP is going to contain. Lots of lessons learned as we go through the next several months, but excellent idea too. Yeah, thanks.
Other members?
Question, Chair.
Of course.
So you mentioned that so 2023 will end a 5-year time frame of HTA's contract with NAHA, and then you said it needs to be resolicited. Is that something that is required statutorily, or is that a process that HTA has set up?
Statutorily required.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just going to bring up the possibility of requesting an exemption, to go to the state procurement office requesting an exemption because of the experience of the current contractor in handling what they've been handling all these years. But okay.
Yeah, sorry, this one's a statutory requirement that all HTA contracts go back out to bid after 5 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Other members, any other discussion? And so I think kind of to just sort of make clear what we're asking for today is that the commission authorizes us to execute an MOA, and we have to work with Greg on who it gets executed between. But essentially the commission is endorsing us moving forward with an MOA that formalizes the relationship either between HTA and the commission and DBED, or NAHA to the commission. I'm not sure exactly legally what we have to formalize, but that we do kind of formalize the support that will be offered to the commission on behalf of NAHA through HTA. So today the motion I would ask for today as part of agenda item 5A is for the commission to authorize the MOA to formalize, at least through June 2023, the interim administrative support via NAHA and HTA's contract with them. So Greg can tell us HTA to DBED because the commission's administratively attached. And this is the legal part where it gets super weird, right? Because HTA is administratively attached to DBED and the commission is administratively attached to DBED. So I don't know if we're MOAing ourselves. And I don't know how that works, or if it's actually NAHA to DBED on behalf of the commission. So Greg, you got to tell us what the appropriate legal connection that needs to be made. But basically that the commission is saying, yes, please do that.
Yes, Chair, you may have actually outlawyered even me there, but I think the first step that I'll need for any analysis is to have an electronic copy of the actual contract between HTA and NAHA. And then many things may just dissolve into an easy morass there.
Okay. But again, it was important for us as a commission, I think, to have this discussion transparently about the administrative support we were seeking for Aaron as the festival director to get us moving in, right now so that we can start doing stuff. So, yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways, the palapala that we're searching for on this is sort of after the fact pro forma. The commission has taken multiple votes on this course of action,
yeah,
you know, in the last 4 months. So, you know, however the lawyers work it out for us, hopefully, you know, makes sense.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to note for the record, it's 3:27 p.m. and Commissioners Benham and Onishi had to jump off. Greg, we still have quorum of 5 members: Commissioner Hussey, Lum, De Silva, Keokalole, Benham, and Ka'ana'ana. So we still have quorum. Yay.
Chair, could I just ask
Of
one
course.
last question? I totally support the motion, but so get us to June 2024, but probably longer, right? Because there's post reporting, post administrative, you know, wrap up. So let's just say a 2-year contract, right, to 2025.
Yeah, we would align that procurement, I think, Commissioner Hussey, to sunset with the commission at August 31, 25, actually.
Okay.
Because there's the audit period and all
Right.
kinds of other kind of closeouts. So I think the intention would be this administrative support would take us from basically either a run up and a runway of overlap before June 23, wherever we can, all the way through August, end of August 2025, when we sunset as a commission.
And just ballpark, what would that number be for that contract? I mean, just big ballpark, because could that be considered a sponsorship commitment?
Like an
There
income?
might be procurement, actually some procurement considerations with even talking about what that number might be before you issue the RFP.
Okay, thanks, Greg.
Thanks for clarification.
Yeah, no, of course. Other discussion, members? Okay, I don't hear any, so I'll entertain a motion and I can maybe kind of try to state it and capture it to help us along. But basically, we would approve a motion today to formalize support services or administrative support services from NAHA to the commission through June of 2023. Does that work, Greg, for a motion? Okay, so if I could have someone make it.
So moved.
Commissioner Lum moves. Commissioner Kehokalole seconds. Any discussion, members, about the motion on the table? Okay, I think we kind of did them out of order, but that's all right. I will go ahead and take a roll call vote. Chair votes aye. Commissioner Benham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bento is excused. Commissioner De Silva.
Aye.
Commissioner Hussey.
Aye.
Commissioner Kehokalole.
Aye.
Commissioner Lum.
Aye.
And Commissioner Onishi is excused, as well as the City and County of Honolulu member today. So I believe our motion carries. Thanks, members. I'm going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 6, which is public testimony. If there are any members of the public who would like to testify on today's agenda items, please go ahead and unmute yourself and turn on your camera. Going once, twice, 3 times. Thanks, members of the public, and thank you to the folks that always join us. I see a few of you, Lynn and Monty and a few others. Nahiraka, Jackie, you guys have been with us for years, so mahalo for sticking around. In terms of and by way of announcements, I don't have any announcements. Any other members have announcements for us today? Staff, any announcement I missed from staff? Okay, I think
Chair, do you mind to share about Act, what is it? Is it Act 202?
220, I believe, and it's been suspended, as I understand. And so those are the open meeting rules that were passed by the Ledge, and the executive order by the governor extended his sort of halt of them for the moment being. I think I said
February
that kind of
28th.
Correct, through February 28th of 2022.
Mahalo, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Malia. Okay, with that, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Don't all argue for it at once.
Moved.
Commissioner Benham moves. Commissioner De Silva second. And I'm going to go ahead and see if Greg lets us get away with this one, but I think we all say yes. Be safe out there, commissioners. We'll see you soon. Take care and aloha.
Aloha. Aloha, everybody.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay.